Hello friends, welcome. In this session we are going to cover the General Studies paper 3 for the IAS mains, and we will be discussing the mains strategy. What should be the strategy for General Studies paper 3, what should be the different sources that we need to follow, and what should be the approach. My name is Rahul Kumar, and let us see. First of all, let us understand the General Studies paper 3. So General Studies paper 3 is having total 6 areas. Out of these 6 areas, the macroeconomy, the agriculture and the internal security, all these 3 areas are having a coverage of approximately 80%. That is 30% on the macroeconomy, 30% in the agriculture and 20% in the internal security. In this manner, almost 80% of the syllabus is occupied by these 3 areas only. So if you prepare more than 250 topics in these 3 areas, then you have a good preparation in the General Studies paper 3. Then we have 3 more areas, that is science and technology, environment and the disaster management. In these 3 areas, the coverage is almost 20%. So you get around approximately 4 to 5 questions out of these 3 areas. These 3 areas are comparatively easier to cover, yet not all the questions can be answered in the examination hall, right? If we see the previous year pattern in 2017 and 2018, we can see that total out of 250 marks, they have divided this 250 marks in 2 areas, that is 150 marks and 100 marks. The 150 marks they have covered through 10 questions each of 15 marks, and 100 marks they have covered through 10 questions each of 10 marks. So in this manner, 250 marks paper is compulsory. There is no choice available. So this is how the paper is coming, right? Now we will discuss the different traps or different pitfalls that are there while we are preparing for the General Studies paper 3. Now we will see some of the pitfalls and traps that can be there in the General Studies paper 3. So first of all, the biggest trap is that when people hear about the General Studies paper 3, they think that it is equal to economy. As I have already indicated that economy, the macroeconomy forms only 30%, and if we add the agriculture, then it also adds another 30%. So there is total 60% portion. So General Studies paper 3 has 40% non-economy portion. So you need to be careful. You need to cover the entire syllabus, right? The next misconception is that General Studies can be covered from the current affairs. Again, this is one of the very biggest misconception. General Studies has if we see the questions need a very deep coverage. You need to know the economic history of India. You need to know the history of British India in terms of economy. Right? So in this manner we can say the current affairs is not equal to General Studies paper 3, and General Studies is not equal to current affairs. And definitely it is sure that most of the topics are based upon the current affairs. So they are picking the topics from the current affairs, but that does not mean that you have to mug up the current affairs and reproduce in the examination hall. We will discuss about this point in much more detail later on, right? Then you must be thinking, sir, I have lots of content, lots of information. I need not prepare for General Studies paper 3 separately. Friends, this is also misconception, right? Having more content is more dangerous than having crisp 360-degree view of the topic in a very simplistic manner, right? So what you need is something that is covering the 360-degree view as well as is also crisp and short, right? Now there are certain areas which are most ignored, right? As I already told you that General Studies paper 3 is not equal to current affairs. So there are certain static areas which are most ignored. For example, the liberalization of the economy, it is started in 1991, and when we are talking about the disinvestment in the present scenario, we need to go back to the British time, that what was the disinvestment strategy of Britishers. Then after independence, why we gave the major role to the public sector. Then after 1991, why we gave the role to the private sector, why we liberalized. So therefore the static portion, the traditional area should also be linked with the current affairs. Then only we will be able to understand why the government is going for the disinvestment and what is the difference between the current disinvestment policy versus the disinvestment policy of the 1991. So all this is also important, right? Next thing is that people normally ignore the NCERTs in the General Studies paper 3. They think that NCERT is relevant only for the prelims. Friends, let me tell you, NCERT is very important for the mains also. I will give you the example. The India-China topic, how the India's growth has been there after the independence time till now, and how the China has been growing after the independence till now. You can easily compare this wonderful topic, this exciting topic to the NCERT, right? And then you can add on certain current affairs, you can add on from certain other areas. But this NCERT will make a strong base of the Indo-China economic comparison. Similarly, if we talk about the planning period, so planning has been given in a beautiful manner in the NCERT. They have given the 4 pillars of planning. They have given the planning period progress in the agriculture sector, the planning period progress in the industrial sector, the planning period progress in the foreign sector. So if you have a good command over the NCERT, then definitely you will have 1 or 2 line mentioned at here and there, and that will give you an edge. So friends, don't ignore the NCERT. Then there are certain wonderful books. There are so many good economic writers in India. There are so many economists. We also need to take certain good things from them. For example, there is a famous economist, the Kaushik Basu, who has been on very important government positions from time to time, and he has given a new Oxford Companion to the Economics in India, and there is a set of 2 volumes on this. And you can find he has given around 50 topics which are most relevant to the UPSC, right? So now the question arises, sir, should we go and purchase that book and cover in entirety? Friends, you can do that if you have many years of time, but you can't do that if you have only 1 year time. And I know you have shortage of time, but so how to cover it? So you can take the help of some faculty, you can take the help of your friend, you can actually, there are different ways, but if you cover such kind of books, your preparation is going to be very, very unique. Then there is a very good book, all of you know, Uma Kapila. They have given a very wonderful analysis of the India's industrial policy, of the India's agricultural policy, of the India's foreign policy, foreign trade policy. So in the Uma Kapila book, you can find a very good analysis of what are the faults in the India's different policies and how we should actually improve upon those faults. Then we have the good book of Mishra and Puri. Similarly, we can have other details. Now, one more thing is there in the General Studies paper 3, that the syllabus of General Studies paper 3 has been given quite in detail. Unlike the prelims paper, in the prelims syllabus, they have just given 1 or 2 line, just indicative syllabus. But in case of GS mains, they have given very, very detailed syllabus. And you can see, for example, for the food processing sector, they have clearly mentioned the food processing and related industries in India, the scope and significance, location, upstream and downstream requirements, supply chain management, right? So you can be very, very specific when you are preparing your notes, that you can stick to these areas rather than moving and doing the very in-depth research. So you need to stick to the syllabus. That's how you can utilize your time in the most efficient manner for this paper. Then we have this overlapping with various other subjects, right? So General Studies paper 3 as overlapping. For example, we can see in the recent years there are questions on the poverty in the General Studies paper 1 as well as in the General Studies paper 2 as well as in the General Studies paper 3. Although the dimension can be different, but the topics is almost similar. Similarly, in the General Studies paper 1, there is in the 2018 there was a question on groundwater management. So that topic we also need to cover in the General Studies paper 3. So if you are covering the entire syllabus of the General Studies paper 3 in detail, then automatically you will cover a lot of areas from the GS1 and GS2. This is also beauty of the General Studies paper 3. And also it is very, very important for the essay. If you are having a good grasp over the General Studies paper 3, then automatically minimum one essay will be there. You can do that essay very easily based upon the content of GS3. And many times there are 2 essays also. So maybe your entire essay preparation is done from the GS3 only. So be careful, prepare this subject in a very good manner. Now what is required? Sir, kya tayari kare? How much depth is required? Right? So see, you don't need to be an R&D expert. You don't need to be an economist. आपका इकोनॉमिक्स ऑप्शनल नहीं है, आपका साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी ऑप्शनल नहीं है, आपका इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी ऑप्शनल नहीं है, राइट? आपको जरूरत है कि ऑन ईच एंड एवरी टॉपिक यू हैव सम सेल्फ मेड नोट्स और सम प्रिंटेड क्रिप्स नोट्स एंड विच आर इजी टू रिकॉल इन द 7-8 मिनट्स इन द एग्जामिनेशन कंडीशंस, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली आपका पर्पस है कि 7 से 8 मिनट के अंदर आपको एग्जाम में रिप्रोड्यूस करना है, रीड करना है, रिवाइज करना है और रिप्रोड्यूस करना है. अगर आपको रीड, रिवाइज और रिप्रोड्यूस करना है तो आपके लिए एक 2 पेज के अंदर टॉपिक का 360 डिग्री व्यू मिल जाना चाहिए, सो दैट यू कैन एक्चुअली रिकॉल इन द एग्जामिनेशन हॉल. यू शुड नो मिनिमम 10 different dimensions on that part, on every particular topic. You should have at least 500 words to write on every topic. If you have the 500 words to write on every topic, you can answer 2-3 different type of question from the same topic, right? So you have to be very, very focused. You have to focus that your ultimate outcome should be in the form of the very limited yet very comprehensive notes. Then you also should understand and try to answer each and every question that has been coming in the last 5 years from the UPSC side. You should try to structure all the questions and how to answer those questions. You should also practice that when you are preparing for your own content. So not only notes preparation is required, but at the same time the answer writing is also required. You should have 360 degree view of every topic that I have already told you, right? Now, sir, how to score 140 plus? Now the question arises, how to score 140 plus? There are many people who are scoring very, very good marks in the General Studies paper 3, and they are doing nothing new, but they are being more careful in the preparation. So now we can see that there are certain areas, if we focus upon these areas, then we can easily do the value addition and we can score more than 140 marks. For example, the first thing is that we can quote some statistics and data. For example, how much is the poverty at the time of independence? How much is the poverty at the time of 1991 reforms? How much is the poverty right now? For example, how much is the FDI, India's rank in the FDI in the last 5 years, and what is the rank today? How much is the rank of India in ease of doing business in 2014 and how much it is today? If you have these facts in mind, then you can quote these facts at any place and you can score extra marks. See, every extra mark gives you an edge. Then we can also mention some good committee reports. For example, in the public-private partnership, you can mention the Kelkar committee report. For example, in the internal security, on the border security management, you can mention the report of the Madhukar Gupta committee. So these committee reports, out of these committee reports, if you can pick 1 or 2 lines and mention in the answer, then it can really make your answer wonderful, right? Then we have sustainable development goals given by the United Nations. These sustainable development goals can be utilized in the General Studies paper 3, and we can mention that what are the different government initiatives taken to fulfill these sustainable development goals, and we can interlink with our topic. When we are giving the answer to the topic of inclusive growth, we can see what are the different government initiatives taken by the government to reduce the poverty in the sustainable development goal, and accordingly we can link with the poverty chapter. Sorry. Now, the next wonderful thing is NITI Aayog 3-year agenda. And see, after the Planning Commission was scrapped in 2015, the NITI Aayog is the major policy making institution in India. And this NITI Aayog has been giving very innovative, very efficient, very practical and highly researched recommendations on each and every aspect you can think of. So initially the NITI Aayog gave 3-year agenda, and now the NITI Aayog has given 75 years strategy. India at 75. India at 75, and there they have given more than 20 topics. So friends, you should not cram that report. You should pick up certain recommendations and put in the relevant place, right? You need not to completely cram and place as it is in the answer. Rather, you should write 1 or 2 or 3 points here and there and write the source also. That will make your answer different from others, right? Then we have economic survey, wonderful document. Economic survey is covering not only economy, agriculture, it is also covering the environment. For example, in the economic survey of 2018, they have given the relationship between the agriculture and the climate change. They have also given the developments in the science and technology. So, economic survey is not limited to the economy portion. It is actually spanning all across the General Studies paper 3. There are wonderful topics. For example, the discussion over the fiscal federalism, the discussion over the savings and investment trends in India. So, economic survey is a really wonderful topic you can cover. And you can also mention that you are mentioning certain facts or certain analysis from the economic survey that adds to your preparation, that adds to your marks, and examiner is really impressed by your preparation. Then we have the budget. So budget is covering every year, and the government is actually coming up with its important policies with the help of budget. In the budget, for example, in 2018, the government came up with the agriculture as an enterprise mission, that now the agriculture should be seen as an enterprise, as a business, not just as an occupation. The government came up with the good initiatives like Govardhan Yojana, the Operation Greens. The government also came up with the MSME sector initiatives, the initiatives to promote the women's role in the economy. Therefore, the broad dimensions of the government policy are decided by the budget. And if you mention the recent budget initiatives, the examiner is really impressed, right? Similarly, in the 2019, the government introduced the PM Kisan Yojana, that is the cash transfer of rupees 6,000 directly to the farmer's account with the help of budget only, right? So budget can be a wonderful document. Then we have next document, that is the Yojana. Yojana every month is coming and they are giving one theme. Sometimes they are giving infrastructure, sometimes they are giving transport, sometimes they are giving digital India, sometimes they are giving the science and technology. Friends, you are not supposed to cover the Yojana from page 1 to page last. You should cover 2 or 3 important articles, and out of those articles you should know how to give the relevant facts while you are writing your answer. So this art you need to learn, and it will take some time and some guidance also. Then there is a wonderful magazine called Kurukshetra. This Kurukshetra is actually focused upon the rural India. And in the syllabus, there are 2 areas we can actually get from the Kurukshetra. One is the agriculture sector. For example, National Horticulture Mission, the initiatives to double the farmer's income. All these things can very beautifully be covered from the Kurukshetra. Similarly, the rural development initiatives, which are part of the macroeconomy, can also be covered from the Kurukshetra, right? So friends, we have lots of resources, and it will take time, effort, and the right orientation to extract the best thing. And 150 marks is the possible thing in the General Studies paper 3. Believe me, out of the 4 papers, the General Studies 3 has the highest potential to get the marks. And similarly, you can get the marks in the essay based upon the GS3 only. In the essay also, you can get 150 marks. So total 300 marks you can get just by preparing General Studies paper 3 in a very comprehensive manner. Now let us move ahead. So we also need to give the practical examples. When you are writing the answer, you should not write the dimensions only. You should also write the practical examples. For example, if we are giving the environmental impact assessment, the critical analysis of the environmental impact assessment, then we should give the examples. For example, in the state of Odisha, in the Keonjhar district, the iron ore slurry has been spreading to the paddy fields. So all those examples we can actually give while we are preparing, while we are mentioning our answer. So that adds to your answer. Similarly, practical examples are there in the Real Estate Act, that in the Real Estate Act, the authority is located in Lucknow, in the state of Uttar Pradesh. However, the major projects are coming up in the Noida and the Ghaziabad. So it becomes impractical for a home buyer to move to the Lucknow from the Ghaziabad. So this kind of practical example can add to the wonderful marks because it gives you an edge over the others. Then there are lots of government schemes from the India Yearbook. This India Yearbook is a government document, and you can find the government initiatives on the poverty. You can find the government initiatives on the agriculture sector and on almost every dimension, on the infrastructure sector and so on. So if you mention the right scheme at the right place, you tend to get good marks. Then we will also focus upon the acts, bills and the different bodies. For example, in the banking sector, we should know the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill. We have to mention that bill when we are writing the answer of NPA. So all the recent bills we can cover from the PRS website, and that adds to our marks. Then we should also frame some diagrams. These diagrams we can make. For example, we can give the comparison of India's agriculture productivity at the time of British, at the time of independence and the present time. In the time of Britishers, the agriculture productivity was low because of this reason. At the time of independence, the agriculture productivity was low because of this reason, and right now this is low because of this reason. Similar, in this manner, we can make a diagram. And this diagram can be one of the very good, crisp, short yet very effective way of presenting your answer. So you need to look into where can I draw the diagram. Then we have the mind maps. So for the revision in the examination hall, just before the examination, you need to have very good mind maps. And when you revise those mind map at least 10 times, then you can easily recall the entire topic and the sub points in the examination hall, and you can write those topics with the examples, with the facts, with the different features that I have already told you. So these kind of mind maps you should prepare for each and every topic, right? So these value additions can really be wonderful for your preparation. Now coming to the subject wise value addition, in the environment you can do the value addition from the United Nations report. For example, there is another report of the IPCC on the climate change. So you can use those global bodies reports at the right place, right? Then you can also use the indexes. For example, there was the Sustainable Development Goal Index that was introduced by the NITI Aayog. So you should mention the findings of such index and you can link with your answer. Then there are lots of facts. The facts regarding the global warming, facts regarding the waste management, facts regarding the water crisis. So these facts you should collect and you should use at the right place. Then we have science and technology. In the science and technology, the questions are not very micro. The questions are open-ended and analytical, right? The questions are they are asking you to analyze the overall policy. For example, they're asking you to analyze the human space mission of the government. They're asking you to analyze the artificial intelligence technology. So you need to have a very crisp idea of the topic and you can write the entire answer. For example, there is a question on the nuclear technology. So you should understand that how is the evolution of nuclear technology has been happening in India after the independence till now. What are the different government initiatives? So the orientation has not to be very technical, very micro. It has to be broader, right? And in the examination hall, you will find the questions which are very extremely broad in range. So we can't cover so much things for the science and technology, because for the science and technology, the number of questions that will be coming, it will be not more than maybe 2 questions, right? Not more than 2 questions. Then we should focus on the easier topics of the current affairs rather than going into the very small topics. And sometimes we can also refer to the science reporter. Then in the disaster management, we should also understand the NDMA guidelines. So NDMA website has given all these guidelines, and in the examination halls, you will find many questions that are coming from the NDMA guidelines. The examiner is asking directly the NDMA guidelines on different topics. Then we have the second ARC. Second ARC has given the report on the crisis management. So this report summary we should have, and we should use in the answer writing. Then we have Sendai framework, the New Delhi declaration, and so on. So we need to mention the certain terminology and certain requirement of the disaster area. Then in the internal security, we should mention the second ARC report. For example, there is a report on the public order. For example, they have also given very beautiful recommendation over the extremism, over the terrorism. So these areas you should cover in a very deep manner, and you should get the important recommendation from these reports. These reports you should not go through from 0 to 100. You should pick up the important recommendation from the executive summary and write in your answer. Then you can also refer to the IDSA for the topics like Indo-China border issues. That can be one of the internal security issue, right? Then you should also cover, you can also frame some maps. You can use the map of Northeast when there is a question on the Northeast internal security. Then you can also give the current example. For example, the Madhukar Gupta committee report on the border management. So friends, listen to other videos, and we are coming up with a lot of videos on the previous year trend analysis, on the syllabus topics, on the topic wise analysis of the relevant topics. And we are also coming up with the online course for the General Studies Paper 3 for the 2019 and 20, and we will take care of all the requirements that I have already mentioned. So in the next video, you can see that what will be our approach for covering all these dimensions in a very comprehensive manner. So thank you very much. Visit our website and stay happy, stay prepared. Thank you very much.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.